Early on the morning of October 7th, 2022, I would drive to Montgomery, Alabama to spend a weekend with family and friends. I would see plenty of trains on my travels, and my first one would be a surprise on the side of the road north of Athens, Georgia. Hartwell Railroad 8396, a former Illinois Central GP10 still wearing its iconic Death Star paint scheme, would be sitting on a sidetrack under a billboard that was giving off enough light to get a decent photo. It was still dark by the time I got to Jenkinsburg, Georgia, where NS 369 would be waiting in the siding for a northbound train. Komatsu equipment loads would be behind the power for NS 369.
NS 7707, NS 4277, NS 8169, and Komatsu equipment. This is NS 369.
I would stop in Locust Grove, Georgia to take a break from driving and wait on a few trains. As the sun began to rise over Locust Grove, Georgia, NS 26C would roll through town with SD70 ACC NS 1830 sandwiched between two NSGE locomotives. NS 187 would not be far behind 26C. 187 would have Thoroughbred-9 NS 9532 leading C44AC UP 6851. NS 733 would come north soon after 187 cleared Locust Grove. This BNSF coal train going from Southern Company's plant Scherer in Juliet, Georgia to a coal mine in Wyoming would be my last train in Locust Grove before continuing the drive south. I would then make a quick stop in Thomaston, Georgia to see a storage line of former Norfolk Southern SD70M-2s and former Kansas City Southern SD70 Max. All of these engines are now owned by Progress Rail and currently await new owners. The following videos are of the storage lines, and there is a picture at the end of former KCS GP40-2 LW PRLX 2914. I was surprised to see a gray ghost in a storage line mostly full of Southern Bells, so I could not pass up the opportunity to get a shot of this engine. My next stop would be Manchester, Georgia, where CSX M542 would be sitting at the depot waiting on a crew to take the train to Atlanta, Georgia. There was also a signal for a southbound train on the runaround track. The southbound would be CSX Intermodal I-198. M542 would depart Manchester as I-198 continued towards the south end of Manchester. After a lull in traffic, YN2CW44AC CSXT 32 would lead a ballast train into Manchester. I was not able to confirm the ID of this train, but I believe this was CSXW022. The train would have one continuous set of yellow Herzog hoppers that had a ballast machine in the middle of the set, as well as some dump cars with fallen flag markings on the rear of the train. Things began to get busy after WO22 cleared. CSX X847 would come in on the runaround track and tie down at the south end of Manchester. With X847 blocking my view of the yard, I took advantage of the bridge going over the yard to set up for CSX M221, which would also tie down in the yard. Once X847 got a crew and departed Manchester, Autorack train CSX X203 would slowly roll into Manchester on the runaround track. This train would also block the view of the yard, and with no word on anything else coming, I would call it a day and continue south to Montgomery. The next day, my parents and I would have some free time, so we would head to Montgomery, Alabama's Riverwalk to take in the scenery and wait on some trains. The Riverwalk overlooks the Alabama River, and there is a pedestrian bridge with a parking garage near Control Point Coosa that makes for a good train watching spot. CSX M605 was in the yard and would get signal indication to go south soon after we got to Control Point Coosa. This monster 11,740-foot train would have ES44AH CSXT 958 as the sole lead engine, and CW44AC CSXT 569 would be the mid-train DPU. CSX M202 would come through Control Point Coosa after M605 cleared. Even though the power was mediocre, it was good to see trains in my home state of Alabama once again. Since M202's crew was very short on time, they would stop with the rear of their train fouling Control Point Coosa. We would leave the Riverwalk to get ready for a commitment later that day. I would wake up early the next morning and head straight to Locust Grove. I was hoping for better luck than my last trip through Locust Grove, but the action would unfortunately consist mostly of NS AC-44 C6Ms and GEVOs. Such was the case for my first train, NS-287, which had two AC-44 C6Ms for power. Herzog Ballast Train NS-91Z would roll through Locust Grove next with more of the usual NS power. I would move to Jenkinsburg, Georgia to get a shot of NS 249 passing under the old Southern Railway signal bridge at Control Point Jenkinsburg. Another duo of AC-44 C6Ms would lead this stack train that would be interchanged to the Florida East Coast Railway in Jacksonville, Florida. I would move back to Locust Grove for lunch, and NS 248 would come once I finished eating. SD40-2 NS 3298 would be the only EMD I would catch in Locust Grove, and it would be trailing third of 3 on NS 248. I would head back to South Carolina after 248 passed. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. Thank you for watching. Till next time.